What's good, my analysts, and welcome back to the practical application of the Open Threat Hunting video series, I guess. This is two, so I guess we're going to call it a series. I did better than I thought I would. So last week in episode 1, I showed you how we could take an organization to answer the questions of what should I be hunting for and how do I operationalize it? And what should I be hunting for? We took the approach of an organization that had designed the mission of their threat hunting program to drive automated detections. Now, I understand that not every organization has that approach or wants that approach. They may think about it differently, or they may not have the technical capabilities to build automated detections like that, which is fine. You know, the framework is set up for that way. So what I wanted to do is show from a different point of view, is to say like, okay, well, what if you can't do this from an automated detections point of view? How would you go about identifying what to hunt for? Like, where would you start? So we're going to run through the process of using, again, some open source tools and some PyAttack to try to identify what we should be hunting for whenever we're operating out of that same thing. So let me load my slides because it's me and I love slides. And there we go. There's my slides. There's the dog, and we're moving along. So because the mission and the goals are so important, again, I'm going to hammer this home. In this new instantiation of the Dwyer Corp, we have a new mission. And now as I identify indicators of compromise through proactively searching for evidence of adversary TTPs operating within the Dwyer Corp network. So that mission is saying, okay, we should be proactively searching. We're going to be searching specifically for adversary TTPs within our organization. That's great. So we're going to use that to drive how we actually design our threat hunts, because we're very focused on just all adversaries, not specific ones. We're trying to look for TTPs, and we're going through that. Okay, cool. And our boss within Dwyer Corp says, okay, within Q4 2022, identify the top 5 most common MITRE attack techniques leveraged by adversaries and create at least one threat hunt for each of those techniques. Again, that's a great goal because we've got time bounds, we've got some specific metrics we've got to hit. 5, we're being pushed specifically to MITRE, which is great. Love MITRE. And then we're going to try to create one threat hunt out of each one of these. Now, I'm not going to end up going through the entire process again, just because I felt like the last video kind of goes through the threat hunting process pretty well. And that really doesn't change from this point of view. It may, if you don't want to use hypothesis-based hunting, that's totally fine. You can use one of the other techniques out there. But we're going to show like, okay, how would you do this if you weren't hyper focused on doing a automated detection? Because when we looked at the last time, what did we say? We were like, oh, we got to, because of our mission, we want to be hyper focused on particular attributes of a technique or exploit along those lines, because at the end of the day, we want to forklift this over into an automated detection. Now, if we're not, if the goal is not to build automated detections, we still can kind of break this down. And like, we're going to funnel this down into manageable chunks. But what we want to do is take a different approach. Instead of be hyper focused on very specific things for a particular exploit, we're going to say, well, what techniques out there and what, you know, data sources are associated with those techniques out there that cover the most activities associated with adversaries. So which ones are most likely going to be present in an attack carried about all adversaries, rather than we're going to try to identify at specific ones and then specific techniques associated with those. So it's a bit of a different approach, right? And that's totally fine. And that's kind of the point of why I wanted to do this, to show it from the other angles, to say there's definitely more than one way to skin an APT, if you will. But we're going to kind of go from the different point of view, because I understand everyone's got different opinions about it, and that is totally fine. So to do this, we're actually going to use a fantastic resource. And I think there's a few libraries out there that are similar. This is the one that I like the best. If you have another one that you say works better, let me know, hit me up, put it in the GitHub project. So this is a project called PyAttack, created by Swimlane. And what this allows you to do, it's a Python library that allows you to easily kind of interact with the MITRE API and pull back all of those data, all the data that's associated with the techniques or adversaries or malware, into these nice data frames, which you can break apart. You can do some searching across and matching and kind of do exactly what that diagram, that kind of funnel diagram that I was talking about, is like, let's get everything in MITRE and start whittling down and grouping things together so that we can get a nice manageable piece of data. I'm not going to go through every little piece of PyAttack. It's very easy to install in Python. I will put links to this resource in the video and everywhere else. You can go ahead. I love this project full marks to the swim lane team. But if there's other ones out there, hit me up. So what we're going to do is we're going to focus on enterprise here, and you can see that there's, you can kind of just load attack from this library and then load it in, and then through that data set, it'll go out and grab everything in MITRE. You can keep a local copy if you want. Go out and grab everything in MITRE, read it into a data frame, and then you're able to search for particular things. So that's what we're going to do. The first thing that we're going to do is I wrote this, and with 100% caution, is I will put my scripts up on the GitHub project, but they are 100% proof of concept. I would never, ever, ever recommend anyone using anything that I ever write in Python, because it's pretty much just like coding by color for me. Like, I'm totally a noob. I don't know what I'm doing. But this script right here, adversary mappings, is what I'm going to do is go out there to MITRE and say, show me all the adversaries you have information from, and then let me map all the adversaries to techniques, or just make those connections at MITRE. When you do that, you get this nice CSV that you can kind of use as a reference guide. We say, like, oh, here's our UNC 2452. They're associated with a scheduled task. And then this API ID is the unique identifier for a particular technique. Each one has that ID number, which is like technique 1025.003. When you're interfacing with the API, it's better off to use the unique identifiers there. So this CSV is great. It'll show me everything you want to do. Now, you could, if you want to do Excel, you could get to where we want to go just through Excel, and that's totally cool too. But we can do things a little quicker than that. So what we want, remember, if our goals are saying we want to do the top 5. So I wrote this quick little script here. Again, I am not the world's best person in Python, but basically it's going to go through, do frequency analysis on all the different techniques on there and say, okay, based on all of the adversaries that MITRE knows about, here are the top 5 techniques associated with adversaries. That's great. And then we can grab this, and then we can run the last one in this example. And what we're going to do is just go out to MITRE, and we're going to say, hey, get me all of the possible detections you have for boot or logon auto start execution. And we'll pull that back, load that into a data frame. And what this will show you is this will be able to kick off what you're going to hunt for, because it's going to show you data sources. It's going to show you the definition of what this detection possibly be. And then, like, if it has a relationship there, all that. Now, the way I wrote that is actually dump that into a CSV, so it's a lot easier and to read, because some of that stuff is nested. But this allows you to say, like, okay, top 5. I'm going to run through these 20. I'm going to look through, and I'm going to build my hunts around these because they're in our list of our top 5. And that will probably keep you busy for a while. But now what you've done is saying, like, okay, there's all the threats out there. I have to operationalize to the point where I can't automate it. So what I need to do is try to cover as much ground as possible by going out there and trying to find the things that are most likely going to show up if an adversary is operating with that network. So I hope that was helpful. Again, I'll put the scripts up there. Don't use them. Write better ones and then put them up in the repo, because I'm terrible at Python, and I admit it, and that's fine. So happy hunting, fam. I hope you like this. Like and subscribe and share it all the way on your socials. Find me on LinkedIn or Twitter. I'll put my socials in the links. Thanks, guys.